Feed me. Feed me more. Feed me more. Feed me more. Feed me more. The Ryback Show starts now. Welcome to the Ryback Show Live. I am the big guy Ryback. Happy Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, and Rybackers all around the world. I am your host, the big guy Ryback. Welcome to another edition of the Ryback Show. Streaming live on Instagram and TikTok, the big guy Ryback22. I can't tell. That TikTok stream looks a little crooked. That's what she said. Welcome Ryback TV here on YouTube. We're at Ryback Rules on Twitch and Ryback at Twitter. You guys are the co-hosts of the show. The ebb and flow of the show goes where your questions goes. I appreciate everyone listening to the audio version on all podcast platforms. Always the best way to listen live is here on YouTube, or you could join the live streams. I can't get to the questions on the live stream as much as, and we do it here on the chat with everybody, and pay attention. The super chats are always greatly appreciated. If you want to get your channel mentioned and it gets brought up on the screen, and I will for sure see those questions. The big guys, Starbucks and Shoulder Relief Fund, so it was greatly appreciated to contribute to that, and which actually those help, obviously with the ad revenue, and they go towards all of that. So it is a great way to help the cause, and I always try to do my best to answer the questions. But you guys are the co-host of the show. The ebb and flow of the show goes where your questions goes. Health, fitness, supplementation, mindset, life, politics, pro wrestling, sports, and anything and everything in between. I am here to answer your questions. In the hot seat, no escape. I think there's probably been like 2 super chats where they were just so ridiculous. And I'll even let the people, but I'm not going to where they weren't answered. They were more of just like they were trolls, but normally you have a question, it's getting answered to the best of my ability on that. This show is available on all podcast platforms. iTunes reviews are greatly appreciated on that. And this show is brought to you by my Feed Me More Nutrition, my premium supplement line, sweet with stevia and monk fruit, no harmful artificial sweeteners or colors, vegan friendly for all people, men and women, he, she, and thee, on feedmemore.com. New customers can save 30%. Discount code Ryback30. That's in the description of the comments. Returning customers can save 20%. Discount code FEEDME20, FEEDME20, and Ryback30 on that. You still get a free bottle of our 1-2-3 Muscle Joint Tendon Support. Guys, it's a $44.99 value. Yours absolutely free. $49.99 value. Yours absolutely free. Pardon me. I got my own price wrong. Stupid. But anyways, guys, what do we got going on today? It's get to your questions here. We're very gloomy, rainy, cold day here in Vegas, but I love that weather. I took the dogs for a car ride, no walk today, at least during the early morning, afternoon, with the ground and everything all wet. Well, that little Sophie, I had to take her to the vet last weekend. She's been grinding her teeth, and this came out of nowhere about almost 2 weeks ago, and it comes and goes, but they checked her mouth, and her mouth looked fine, but they also couldn't get a good view because she's a little Frenchy and she doesn't like people looking in her mouth. But they gave me GI medicine for her GI tract just to make sure, because that can be an internal thing sometimes. We got like 1 day left of medicine on that. That doesn't seem to be the case. And we've got pain pills from her back and neck surgeries. One of them that was still good, and the gabapentin, I think, which normally was always really good if she was in pain, but she's not showing any symptoms of pain anywhere. And so the next step is to take her back in, and probably give it like another week and just see. And if it doesn't, take her back in and get blood work done, see what the lab work comes back. And then if that checks out, then X-ray, they have to put her under to do X-rays, and then to see, because then it's probably some sort of tooth thing in the back, but she's eating fine. There's no issues. So it's like, but at night she'll grind at night a little bit. When it wakes me up, a little guy gets a little uneasy with it. So, but then she stops. She'll be good for hours and hours, and then she'll just do it for a little fit. And then but she doesn't appear to be in any pain. So it's a very odd thing, but it is annoying, more than anything, because it bothers little guy, and it bothers me because I want to know what's wrong with her, and I don't know. So we got that going on. Trupanion raised all my dogs' rates once again. I don't know about you guys. Here, if you live in Vegas, and I don't know what state, obviously we have people listening all around the world. My gas and electric bills have gone up the end of last year and this year. Winter was always the easy months because summer here in Vegas, I've got solar power. My house is too big, so I can't just go on solar. I got to split the solar and the Nevada power. And then in the winter, the gas gets used for the heat as well. So the gas bill always goes up in the winter. But the gas bill, the highest the gas bill ever was like 50 something bucks. Maybe 60 on a really cold month here and there. And I've been here since 2014. Last 3 months, but this month was the 170, like $4 for just my heat, my gas, not counting electric and solar, and these are the cheap months. And they raised the rates a lot. And they said like the average home guy, look it up. I go, this is way more. And I'm looking, I go, past usage is the same as the year prior. Like what's going on? My bill's literally $100 something more on that. Nevada Power, I think they raised rates 14% the beginning of this year. End of last year, they raised them at some point, then did that other big raise. And then the gas, they said was like 8%, but it looks like it's clearly more than 8%. So I'm like, looking, I'm like, do I have a leak somewhere? What's going on? And I'm looking, I go, the past usage isn't any different. So welcome to the era of Brandon, the Brandon era. I don't even know, you can't even say his name on here. The YouTube will throw a yellow limited ads up. Unreal. All right. Got that out of the way. Yeah, everything's going up, brother. I have money. I go, how the hell is everything else? Like I go, this is, it's crazy how they expect people. We live in a very dangerous society when you have people that are struggling and more people are struggling and it's getting harder and harder to meet basic necessities. That's when everything goes out the window. Crime goes up. The human race are savages. That's anyone that ever says defund the police or anything, I go, you do not understand what the world will go to. You will be pleading for men like me to protect you, for other guys out there that know how to fight, that know how to defend themselves. And even then, you're going to need all the numbers you can get to fight off. God knows what will happen. But hey, what do I know? Well, you guys are arguing what to call each other over there. People are going to be doing a lot of bad things. So I don't know. Hopefully everything improves. And it will. Hopefully optimistic it will. But we got to get these people out. We got to get them all out. What is it? The reptilians, the Zuckerbergs and all them, they can go, zero. Let me get to your super chats before I keep going off an hour of me just ranting on social media. By the way, going to California, I'm going to go visit all the social media headquarters. I'm going to find people. So if you work for any of the social media companies, I will be announcing when I'm coming down on there. It's going to be in the next couple of weeks on one of the weekends for probably a Saturday, Sunday trip. Going to be going to Southern California first. TikTok's in Southern California, closer to that LA. I think I can't remember it's not in LA, but it's in the Southern LA California area. And then YouTube, Twitter, and I believe Twitter's up there as well, up Northern California, like San Francisco area. YouTube, Twitter, and Meta IG. I'm going to go to all of them, and I'm going to find somebody or people that recognize me that will help me and bring me to a top executive. And we're going to have a conversation for each platform on this. No more emails, no more wasting my time, 6.5+ years. I'm going to go and I'm going to get my accounts fixed, and everyone's going to see what's going on. These people are criminals. They're horrible human beings. And I am damned if I'm going to let my life work be thrown out the window for these pieces of trash. So the big guy's going to put matters into his own hand and peaceful. I already had YouTube. I'm communicating with YouTube right now. They go, no, you don't need to come down here. I go, yeah, I do. And then the guy, nothing was threatening. In the email, we're going, and he's like, we can more than easily get your problem solved on here. I go, you haven't got my problem solved on here. I'm coming down. I go, non-threatening. I'm going to have conversations, but I promise you, I get recognized everywhere I go. You have people that work there that are fans of mine. I will get one of them to get me in, give me one of your little sweet badges for each platform. I'm going to mosey my way in. I'm going to go strutting in, Skip Sheffield style. I'm going to go to one of the top executives. We're going to sit down. They're going to see that I'm a nice human being, that I'm well-spoken. I'm going to show them the paperwork of WWE wanting my social platforms. I'm going to show them all the analytics of everything crashing, and then we're going to see what they could do to get the accounts fixed. And that's that. All right. Sorry. The show's more as a vehicle for my venting as well, for everybody listening. Don't judge. Tyler Sugar, Sweet Sugar Sugar, who also is on Twitter, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler's going hardcore on social media now. He's one of the number one contributors to the Ryback Show. What's up, big guy? Hope you're having a great day. Thank you, Tyler. What a nice guy. Tyler just says, hey, big guy, here's a little money. I just want to say great day. You tell me this isn't the greatest job in the world. Huh? I mean, there's a lot of really great jobs in the world, but you just come on here, people pay you money just to say, hey, here's a little bit of money. I just want to say have a great day. Feels good to be loved. And back at you, Tyler. If I could throw back that super chat, I'd give you 50 cents back on that and keep the $1.50 extra. Chris Willis, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Ryback. Jimmy and Jay at WrestleMania. Thoughts? Very happy for Jimmy and Jay being at WrestleMania. They were in the situation where I was, where they got put on pre-shows for a little bit. And anyone could be put on pre-shows in the kickoff show. And again, contract stuff, had that happen one year. Punishment stuff had it happen another year. But there were 3 years in a row that I ended up getting delegated to the pre-show on every WrestleMania, then featured in a featured bout. Obviously, my debut one on it. I've been on stage during NXT. We got to be on stage for a prior WrestleMania in Arizona. So I've been part of 5 WrestleManias, which is a lot more than a lot of people on it. And but you want to be on the main card, and you want to if you're a worker and you work all year, like those guys are workhorses in the company and well respected, great guys. Like I mean, you're talking like good, like just great guys. And Rikishi has done a fantastic job at like smartening them up and helping them, I'm sure, passing on a lot of knowledge as other family members. And man, and they nobody likes being on the pre-shows, and they were on those pre-shows a little bit, and they've been on kickoff shows, and to see them getting featured and to be making more money most likely than they've ever made, see them be a part of the WWE, like to have them be in commercials for like the C4, whether or not I don't agree with that kind of just trash supplements and energy drinks, out the window, they're making money. And it's a WWE gig that they're getting them, right? So like, I'm happy for them because they're great guys. And we'll see if they're going to do the KO Sami Zayn storyline or not. But there's a lot, man. And this is something I'm going to kind of piggyback this on that because I'd seen there were people that were complaining, and obviously this is what people do, what fans do, rather than just focusing on the good or having an understanding mindset of the why things are done, the way they're done. We've got Brock Lesnar, and it's been made official, Brock Lesnar versus Omos, who Brock calls Omos, which popped me, which I feel like was on purpose on Raw. It's been made official for WrestleMania. And a lot of people then we're going, oh, we wanted Gunther versus Brock. We wanted Gunther, and they give us this. This is Vince's doing, this and that. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of explain to you guys what the thought process behind the scenes can be and is at times, and why certain things are done. And this isn't an everyday, all the times thing, but it will help allow you as fans to have a different perspective. So maybe before you go on social media and go and start whining and complaining and moaning about all the things that you don't understand, you can maybe go, hey, I remember that thing Ryback said, and maybe you could view things a little bit differently. And so we've got Brock versus Omos. They've done Brock Lashley a lot. So what they're doing is that storyline is probably going to continue at some point, but they're going to let that cool off, right? And you've got all these talents there, and this is a very difficult thing. And Hunter's more aware of it than Vince probably, even though Vince did a better job at creating the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal to get more guys figured into the show. But you've got all these men and women that are holding up your shows and your live events, and that you are making all the company all this money all year long. And then there's a good portion that get left off at times because and they try to somehow get people figured in one way or the other. Right. So you've got a big talent with Bray Wyatt, who they probably didn't have They didn't know what they were going to do with maybe. So this just gives you ideas. And rather than doing Brock Bobby again with that, and they don't really know, it's kind of this. They keep doing this. Just give that a little bit of a break. Let it's still going on, but give it a little bit of a break, and you kind of you figure a way to create matchups that are going to get more of your main talent onto the show as well, into a bigger match, right? So there, and you've got Bray and Bobby with that. That's probably going to be done to probably reveal Uncle Howdy, and it's probably going to be a big, hopefully, moment for Bray. But with Bobby, who has a lot of momentum, it's a big featured matchup for WrestleMania, right? And you've got Brock and Omos with that, who they you tell me with Omos a more interesting matchup that they could do right now than him and Brock. And it's going to be a different style match than a lot of different matches on the card. It's a match with kids and things. You got to remember, two older people, whether you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s or lifelong fans and 70 years old, the product is viewed differently in kids' eyes. And oftentimes when you guys will complain about it, it's changed so much since we were kids. No, you just looked at the product differently from a child's view with it. And you got to understand that they are selling a product to all people. So there's different matches to everyone. You guys want your little Meltzer 5-star matches. I promise you don't want every match just going and doing a bunch of stuff that fits what his 5 stars are. No, it doesn't work that way. And I promise you, oftentimes that's not what a real, true, genuine 5-star match is. Okay. But let me throw this at you as well. You've got Gunther, I believe, going against Sheamus and Drew, most likely in a triple threat for the IC title. We've seen Sheamus and Drew already wrestle a ton, right, with that. So this is the best matchup you could do for Gunther, an international matchup with a WrestleMania that has a very heavy crowd for an international crowd over there from the UK. You've got Drew representing Scotland, Sheamus, Ireland, and Gunther in the UK, right? Pardon me if I'm incorrect on that, but he's from somewhere over there. So you've got a matchup with 3 heavy hitters that hasn't been done in a triple threat that potentially could be the match of the night on possibly of the 2-night show, right? With that. So you got to look at this from the WWE standpoint of getting all these guys and these money guys into matches that are going to feature them. Because hey, if you don't do that match and you go Gunther, Brock, and then you've got Omos, what do you do with Omos? You've got Drew and Sheamus, what do you do with them? Right? And these are guys and they're taken care of. So when you look at the way when matches are done, sometimes and it's the big storylines, and then there's other storylines, but there's always and then there's other times where there's other things and that it doesn't make sense. But you can kind of just get an understanding of why these things are probably happening, or at least stop and just say, okay, I can see why they're doing that, rather than going on social media and whining and complaining. And man, it just doesn't, it's a reflection of a poor mindset and a truly not understanding the business with it and why this company, and they're a profitable company, and I've had all my issues with it, but I'm able to step back and talk about this stuff because I have an understanding and been involved with my whole life, a fan since I was a little kid and involved with it for the majority of my adult life. So I have a very good understanding of the business and why the creative aspect and being figured in at multiple levels of that, of when and why and where certain things take place and why that happens. So I'm excited for the Brock Omos matchup, and I think it's a great opportunity for Omos to be featured in a high-profile match with Brock, because any match Brock is in is going to be a high-profile match. Omos is literally, I don't. You tell me. There's Giant Gonzalez, but Omos has already surpassed his career as far as anything goes and being booked consistently, and he's getting better. And he's had some really entertaining, good matchups with Bobby and Braun and physical matchups. And he's been protected. He's beating all these guys, most of the roster, very easily. But he's lost, came out on the losing end to Braun and to Bobby on him. But these are the top of the cream of the crop. That's like losing a championship fight as far as in terms of wrestling. And it's not like he's going out there and getting quote unquote beat against lesser guys, right? So it's, but I will say maybe this is a good opportunity with this, and Brock puts him over maybe, and that make Omos that could be really big for him. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a way to get Brock a win with a guy, but to give Omos a great opportunity to go in there and look really good. So there's always, but the main thing is understanding how it fits into the whole puzzle of getting that card together. You don't want a card, and WWE is much better than this and other companies having, I think, more diverse, a diverse wrestling card so that you don't have everything be the exact same, right? So that's just another way to look at it. Magnificent says, I really love your logic. Big up. The other guy from AEW podcast, his thoughts sometimes are just delusional. I don't know who you're referring to, but and I don't know if it's a fan podcast or what, but anytime you're listening to a fan podcast, they don't know outside of what they're reading because they have not been in the business. And even if you've got somebody that was an independent wrestler talking about, they don't know, they truly don't know. They could hear things here and there, and they might have a little bit better understanding than someone not involved. But the only way you're going to specifically know is someone who's actually been involved heavily in the business and in it for a long time at the various stages. And not just me, other talents that do shows, they're always going to give you a better take on things than fans. Not to say that fans can't, they're more than entitled to have their take and their opinion. But a lot of those guys, what they do is they create drama, hate, and negativity. They talk bad about a lot of things, and they get people. There's a lot of people out there with that mindset, and they're drawn to that, and they go listen to it. Unfortunately, Cornette does the same thing, even though he knows from being in the business, but he takes that negative take and bashes on everybody and hates on everybody. And look, he has a top-rated podcast because there's a market for people that are miserable out there. But you don't have to do that. People love Bray Wyatt. Again, because somebody just says, why are people hating Bray Wyatt? You have to understand, everybody, wrestling fans hate wrestling and hate wrestlers. It shouldn't be that way. But there's people that, and I tell you guys, if you're fans of me, don't talk trash to other people you don't like. Just simply understand they're playing a character, or don't follow them, or you're not serving yourself anything by doing that. And that's where you've just gotta realize this is what people, so the thing, most people and fans in general, this isn't just wrestling fans in general, and this isn't everybody, because there's some really successful people that are fans of things, but most people and fans are not living the life of their dreams, and it's a reflection of their mindset more often than not. So that mindset is their fan mindset, and they don't understand of talking about the good things that they like more, or this and that. And that's what you see, the masses of that, rather than enjoying, you watch a 3-hour Raw, why isn't the majority of stuff about what people enjoyed and liked? It would create much more pleasant conversation, but instead you get what people don't like. And people, there'll be one thing on a 3-hour show that they just absolutely didn't like, and that will take over, or they'll go find people that liked something on the show to go hate on it, and then people, the key is don't get caught up in that. We can never change those people's mindset. That's why the block button is strong on everything. No hate, just stay away. That mindset, I don't want anywhere near me. Anyway, just stay away. Hey, keep on breathing your oxygen and living your life. Just stay the hell away from me with that. And that's what you got to do. And you got to just kind of just brush those people aside and don't get caught up, because there's no winning. The only thing you do is waste your time. But if you don't value your time and you want to argue all day and night and literally not get anything out of it, even if you change their opinion, you're not getting anything out of it. There's a billion more waiting to argue with you. So it's like, go ahead. Right. So it's like I posted the video the other day running on the treadmill. A fan actually had recognized me and came over, and we took a photo. I needed to get a video of myself running. But there were people, and I couldn't get the phone set up anywhere where it would, like, there were just too many people in the gym. And I go, hey, would you mind actually doing, I was just finished all my sets. I go, would you mind getting a quick little video of me running on the treadmill? And I thought, and I gave him the camera where he could do, where I didn't think he was going to, there was a guy who a lot of people think is a woman next to me, walking on the treadmill next to me on that, but they're on their phone. I hadn't even noticed it until I saw the video with it. But there was like, the video is just me working. It's nothing, but you'll see there are people that got mad. Oh, this person's not even working out. Oh, why even go to the gym? This and that, because they're walking on a treadmill and they're texting on their phone. Who cares? How do we know that's not their off day and they're just taking it easy, but they're going to go walk for an hour? Maybe they're going to walk for 2 hours. on it and they're getting work done? How do we know? Maybe they're responding to an urgent message, but why does it have to be a negative, hateful thing? Why, how is it affecting you? It's not, right? But this is a reflection of people's mindset and their inability to just stay focused on their own thing. And they get so easily, a video about me, they're letting themselves get distracted to get angry over something they know nothing about. And that is a perfect example of social media and life and protecting our energy. And like, it's like, come on. But like, why view thing is the worst thing possible. There was somebody, oh, they're only burning 2 calories a minute. I'm like, first of all, they're burning more than 2 calories a minute. You don't know what you're talking about on it. And who are you to be sitting? You're sitting at home or sitting on your toilet or on your couch with your cheesy puffs and Pop Tarts and your Mountain Dew. Oh, they're not even working out. I promise you, you're not working out right now in that moment, criticizing the person working out, right? And we don't know what they're working out for. Maybe they have a heart condition. They're not allowed to run. Have you ever thought about that, Einstein? Instead, though, you just assume, oh, everybody's on their phones. They don't work out. This or that. No, they're in the gym working out. No, they're not doing as high intensity cardio as me, but they're also not training to come back to be the greatest wrestler in the history of the planet. And they don't want to be 300 pounds and have elite conditioning, right? So maybe they're training for just to stay healthy and fit, which they were. They were not out of shape whatsoever. So, all right. We got a lot of people. Ryback versus Brock Lesnar. Thank you. We're going to shell shock you out of here, though. No spamming the big guy's chat, buddy. You put that many times. Many times. I appreciate it, though. Ryback versus Brock Lesnar. Huge, huge. Main event anywhere in the world. Absolutely astronomical. Just the best. Oh, I don't even know that guy. Yeah, don't. I would suggest you don't listen to anything like that. I would block it and not. You just oh, not good, not good. But hey, do what you want. I tell you guys this with wrestling fans, you guys would learn and understand so much more if you just listen to wrestlers talk rather than the hey, when it comes to at least talking about things about the business. And fans can always talk about what they like and don't like from the creative standpoint, but to talk like they know the business and understand the business, no, 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 no. You didn't have the heart or the courage or the determination to go actually physically do it. You don't know what it takes. You don't know what really goes on back there. You have no real understanding of what the men and women put themselves through. And so you might hear about it and you might think, but I promise you, couldn't even hang for a day. Now, you wouldn't make it through a 4-hour training session, the majority of you, let alone a Deep South Wrestling with Bill DeMott. 99.99999%, if not damn near 100% of any fan that had to even train for 30 minutes with Bill DeMott would walk out that door or get wheelchaired out or on crutches or crying with their tail tucked between their legs. So, but that's up to you guys on what you allow to be put into your heads. We have a new Rybacker, new member. Thank you very much. David 77. Welcome, fellow Rybacker. Yeah, Bray Wyatt's absolutely great. Bray's doing amazing things, and I look forward to seeing where everything goes with it, with the character development and the Uncle Howdy, and if they're going to do the Wyatt 6 deal. Thank you, Tony, for saying you love Feed Me More Nutrition. And do I think Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy? Yeah, I have a feeling that is. We've talked about that at great length on this show, and I do believe it is Bo Dallas. It is. I don't think it's any. It's been confirmed that he's back with the company and he's been seen backstage. So I think it is a given at this point in time. I mean, anything's possible. It could be anything's possible that it's not right, but it does appear. Knowing Bray and Bray coming back and probably wanting to be happy and be around his brother more. Bo's never had, as far as been booked creatively anywhere like Bray. Bo is extremely talented. He's a great wrestler. He's still really young. And, he was in NXT. He was the NXT, I think, the FCW champion for a long time. But one of the young, very young. I think he got in at 18 in FCW, or 17 or 18, if not maybe even 16. He got in really young. And so he's, and he's been through the meat grinder there already, and he's learned a lot, and they brought him back. And, I think his best years are lie ahead with all of that. And if he could stay focused and on track, and they can creatively keep him figured in, he's going to do very well. Thank you very much. Somebody says, going through a rough patch lately. This live was much needed. Greetings from Croatia. Currently working out at home and watching you. LOL. Thank you very much, buddy. And yeah, man, no, life is not. We're all going through different stuff. I always say that I've seen the quotes like we're all in a fight in a different round with that, and we're all in a different fight. Not all of us are in the same fight. Some of us are in the same fight, but there's a lot of different fights to be in, and there's a lot of different stages and rounds, and it's really tough. We live in a day and age with social media and a lot of people and comparing ourselves, and oftentimes we're comparing ourselves to something that doesn't even exist anyways, because social media can give us a false sense of what's really going on with people and different things. And it's just the way that it is. We don't have an understanding outside of what we can only see. But if we could just stay focused on ourselves and do what we can do to have as good of a day as possible, and understand that happiness is inside of us no matter what, and to try not to tie our happiness into things that we don't have control under, but to be appreciative and grateful for the things that we do have in our lives, because we're all at different levels. There's always, like, I could very easily be negative and compare myself to billionaires and people that have way bigger, nicer things, and be like, man, I'm not, my life sucks. I'm not, it's, I don't have anywhere near what those guys have. I'm not going to ever be able to, can I do that? I don't, that's, or to other people that are doing well, and that, like, well, their home's a little bigger than mine, or they've got a boat for the summertime, and or this and that. No, I have the things that make me happy. I do the things that make me happy. I grow and do my business and the things, and to get back to go to wrestling, and because that's what I'm passionate about and I love. I work out every day. I love it. It makes me feel good. I'm very active. I love my dogs, my family. I have everything that I could ever ask and dream of. And I also have driven. I've been to India and seen naked children on the corners, and I've seen poor people begging and on the street corners naked with nothing, burning plastic out there to stay, just to have some sort of heater to cook whatever they can get on it. I routinely go drive through bad neighborhoods to remind myself of how good I have things, because I get frustrated with the things that are going on that are holding some things back with my social media and whatnot. But I feel I do a good job of getting myself on track, just to stay in the moment and to keep positive in a situation that could get me very negative if I let it with that. And so we're all in a different position, that it depends on which way we're looking at things with that. And that's what I try to just kind of preach, that whole hungry mindset. And it makes me feel good if I could help and get some of you to see things on the way that I've seen and see things, and not to view things directly as I view them, but just to view that there's always a positive and a negative on a lot of things, and it's up to us to try to find that and to shift into it as quick as possible. Hello, hello, hello. Hello from the Ukraine. Hello. Hope everything's going well over there. Hope you're enjoying my tax dollars. Our tax dollars. Super chat, Raghav Chalwa, thank you very much. He says, how is your protein so damn good? Mind blown, man. Thank you very much. Is because I've tried a lot of bad proteins, and I work very closely with my manufacturer. And when I've tried a lot of plant proteins that were absolutely horrible and did not mix well. And I have a relationship with one of the food scientists there that is really good at making things, and they're very health conscious as well. And there's not a lot of supplement companies doing what I'm doing, so he gets to, like, essentially do a lot of things that he's wanted to do for my company with that, and to take advantage of that. And I tell him, I go, the protein needs to mix and taste like a whey as much as possible. And I sent it back until they got it right. And it is using the pea and rice proteins that has the full amino acid spectrum on that. And I feel I've got on protein, I've had so many, like I know what tastes good and doesn't taste good. Now we all have different taste buds and things are going to be, but I go, more people are going to like this than not. And that is, I wish I had 10 flavors to give you guys, and hopefully we can get everything rolling and all these restrictions done. And I know I'm in the clear. I'll put the pedal to the metal again and come out with a lot more stuff. But I thank you, man, because it is, I consume it every day. And so it's like, these products aren't just, they were for me, that I made available to everybody else. And it is like, I would not give myself anything that is not great. Rich says, the judging thing, I agree. We should all mind our own business because oftentimes there are things going on with people that we know nothing about. Take care of you. Yeah, and humans by nature or can be extremely judgmental, but that comes with being self-aware and understanding that what you just said. And what I choose to do more often than not is just try to view things in a positive manner. If like, so say I notice something, and if someone is on their phone and for whatever reason, say it triggers me on that, I instantly diffuse it by going, they're probably doing something important, and just moving on. And that in that way, you literally solve your own problem rather than going, why do I want to not be happy? Why do I? And if we just choose to believe that, they're just lazy, well, it's not affecting us. It's not doing it. But how do you know they're not reading an email or something important? There's not a family emergency. How do we know? But it's because you're choosing to make up a scenario that aligns with you to get mad at something, to distract ourselves over focusing on ourselves. And that's all that it is. And it can be broken down into that every single time. Right. So, and if it doesn't directly, hey, now if it's one thing, if it's somebody that, if you're waiting, somebody has a deadline and they're supposed to have a paper on your desk at 1 p.m. and they've not done any work, and you saw them and they're on their phone BSing and playing around and toying around on social media, and they're not doing, okay, that directly involves you. You have a right, if you're mad at that, and to have a talk with them. But that's like a direct situation where you have, you know what I mean? But like the things people will do just to get upset with themselves, it's like, I don't know. I'd rather just, social media, see things that make me happy, that I could make me laugh, and rather than things that I don't like, and to start arguing with a bunch of people I don't even know and waste my whole day. That doesn't pay the bills. That doesn't make me happy. That doesn't make me feel good. That doesn't make me attract good things. There's your reason why a lot of people are struggling. It's a reflection of their habits online and in life in general. We've got a super chat coming in. Super chats are greatly appreciated with you guys. Thank you. Somebody says, too, would I ever consider acting, and what kind of movies? I mean, at some point, if I'm back wrestling and something presented itself, we've talked about it. But right now, the focus on growing my business, getting healthy to go back to wrestling, and financially, I would never have to do movies or anything, especially with all this. The supplement industry is so large, and I love entrepreneurship. I would rather own things in businesses like car washes and money producing things, and things that I could creatively put my creative input into the world of making. And I have ideas, and which is why I'm mentioning this, on things. I would rather do that stuff than be in movies. That's just me. Now, not to say, hey, what's the show, the thing, Drax with Guardians of the Galaxy, Batista's gone. I'm getting to your super chat too. Don't forget. And they go, hey, we need to replace it. Would you be interested in it? I could line that up with what I'm doing, and it wasn't a big commitment of me being gone. And right then okay, something like that could be done with that. But that's not like one of my goals or anything. I think I'd be great at acting and all. I really do. I honestly think it's very easy with that. And I enjoy certain aspects of it. I don't enjoy a bunch of memorization for wrestling and that, but for acting, that's a little different. But I've always been good at memorizing things. I think I could be, and again, would I be? I don't know for sure if I'd be good. I'm confident. I think I could do okay though. I've seen some actors that I'm just like, I go, oh, I super chat. Michael Polkey says, thank you very much. I had a heart attack in April. I see everything in a much more positive way since then. One, I'm very sorry that happened to you, but I'm happy that a negative situation has turned into such a positive for you. And oftentimes, it unfortunately takes an incident like that, where we see our life flash before our eyes, or we have something tragic happen to us, or something just really bad, right? Where we'd have a more positive, different understanding perspective on life. And we could always, and I've talked about my things, and you could talk about that all day long, right? And there's always going to be people that just don't understand, because until something happens to them, they're just not going to understand. But there are other people out there that actually can take that in and go, and they can actually they can see that happening, or they can live that moment to the best of their ability, into where they actually can take kind of what you've learned and apply it to their lives with that. And that's what we always go for, that when we share that stuff. But it I had CT Fletcher on here years ago, where he said pretty much the same thing when he had the heart transplant, and he had the heart attack and everything, and where he just said everything became more peaceful and like understanding, and he had a much more positive view of life and appreciative. He said I remember he talked about going for walks and noticing trees and the smell of things that he never noticed before. And that was one of the things I was like, man, I really make sure I do that. I go walk at the parks with my dogs. I just kind of like, I really take it in, and like it's very peaceful, and you just see things a little differently. And I think that comes too with age, and viewing things, and understanding that we're all not going to be young forever with that. And I think I've had that for me, where these injuries happened in the prime of my career, and it was game over. And I'm like, no. And I'd already had my ankle injury in my 20s. I'm like, man, not again, like with this. But it's like, I don't take anything for granted, and to get my health back fully, and to feel better and younger now than I was, even though I am older now, but I'm way younger. I feel way better than I ever did wrestling with that. And I could train just as hard and do things. And I recover better because my diet and everything's even better and cleaner than it ever was with that. And I have a newfound appreciation and respect on life and health, because we truly don't know how long it's going to go for. And with the world, things could be over tomorrow. So I kind of just look at things one day at a time. I try not to look too far ahead, and be patient, and just try to be appreciative and thankful for each day, and to do the work that I could do each day to be on the right track for my goals. And that's what I've done with my shoulder and my back. And here I am at the very end of, like, I won all my stuff. I stayed committed. I just went one day at a time. I didn't look too far ahead. If you would have told me how much money I would end up having to spend after all this, it would have really, really made it very difficult. I knew it was going to be a lot, but if you would have just like really shown me a number, and you know, but I believed in what I was doing, and I'm just going to go one day at a time. I'll get it figured out. I'll make it right. If you would have told me when I left, you're going to have all your social media restricted and suppressed almost 7 years later, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know how I would have acted with that, but I go one day at a time, and I try to remain optimistic that everything's going to be fixed. And I go, and that too has led me to this. I go, I'm going to go down there. I've had probably thousands of cases closed over all the platforms. Nobody, I go, you don't want to help me out. I don't have access to who need to have access to. I'm going to go down in person. At least I know I've done everything I could do to try to make this right. Right. I can't go sue these companies, guys. I can't. One, they have rules on this stuff. There's no rules. Like you have to prove this stuff. And they're very good. They have coding, and they can alter this stuff and whatnot. But I go, do you know how expensive that would be to go sue every social media company? Do you understand? Like it's pretty ridiculous with it. I wouldn't want to do that having billions of dollars, because it would be such a huge thing. So it's like, but I'm going to go down, and I'm going to try to get things done in person. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to get a connection when I'm back in wrestling. I'm going to get on a big podcast, whether it's the Rogan Show. The story's going to be told on the right platform, on the right news outlet, on something maybe with Tyrus on Fox. I don't care. It's going to get told on a bigger platform, and people are going to see it. And at some point in time, it's going to get fixed, because I've always been protected. I know how to do the work. I know how to stay consistent. But to wrap it up, that it sometimes takes unfortunate things, though, just for people, and to have a different appreciation. And that's where I love that the whole, feed me more, turning negatives into positives, let positives feel positives further. And that's the whole feed me more machine mentality, man. But I hope you're feeling good, and continue to get better and stronger, man. Thank you very much for the kind words. Another super chat here. Drew, thank you. Drew says, you discussed this months ago. Wasn't ready, but tips for a beginning and growing YouTube channel. As always, thanks for these live shows. You're very welcome, Drew. Tips for beginning and growing a YouTube channel. One, you want to do something that you're passionate about and that you talk about, or that the content that you're making aligns with something that you will enjoy regardless of if you're making money or not, right? And it that will keep you doing it, and it will, if you get through that process and then money will come at some point in time if you're really passionate and enjoy it. But at the very least, if it's something you enjoy doing it each day, and you have a positive outlook with it. And somebody had asked before, I think they had a podcast they wanted to start, and on basketball, the Dallas Mavericks, and they're doing it now, and they've got a name for it, and that was but you just kind of, you brainstorm what things do you like, and you kind of spider web it, and you do a different spider web for each one, or you do like a spider web with the names or ideas that you like, and then you start branching off on different content you can make for those, and what would a name be for each kind of, whether it's a football podcast, a wrestling podcast, politics podcast, whatever it is, coming up with a creative name, and you just start kind of doing stuff. And you're going to get better, and eventually, if things are going and you start growing an audience and you start making some money, and then you could, or you have money, you have a good job where you can get a good editor or different things, and somebody, a fan of the show wants to help do work for you, like that stuff happens over time, where you're able to then, and you get better and better and better. But that's what you just essentially figure out what you want to do, and then you start making content with it. And then you're going to always, your views on things might adjust and change. The format might adjust and change over time and whatnot. But you try to stay consistent as much as possible with it, and just control the things that you can control. Let me see here. Yes, Ragov said, did conversation with the big guy Ryback turn into the Ryback show? Yes. And that was just an adjustment we made to get away from what the old show was in the format, because and then in the Ryback show, then it could be interviews, or it could be in doing the live shows with you guys and taking questions. It's a little more diverse with that. And I wanted just to kind of freshen up everything, and I just felt that was conversation with the big guy Ryback was hard to hashtag. Nobody knows what CWTBG is, as far as it was just not something. The Ryback show is just Ryback show, hashtag Ryback show, way easier, gets way more views, and it ties in with my name, right? So hello. Appreciate all the love and support. No spamming the chat. We're going to spam. We've got another spammer here. We're going to shell shock. And you're spamming in a whole different language. We're going to go ahead and clean that up. Hold on. I yanked you back out, meat hooked you, shell shocked you, blocked you again. Okay. Just to make sure. Didn't appreciate it as I scrolled up. I think somebody says, who is a wrestler that you think deserved to be a main eventer? Wade Barrett had been and has been in main events and been in some really big matchups. But I think Wade Barrett should have been someone that was consistently in the main event more than he was. And I know he had a couple injuries that kind of sidetracked things. But he was he's well liked, he's well respected, he's got an incredible look to this day, and he's one of my good friends. But when King Barrett, the abs, he got in shape. He was dieting so hard. I remember he had like a routine, and he was doing like a coffee and 2 bananas, and he would have it specifically at TV. And we'd always, there's Wade with his 2 bananas and his coffee. And his abs were some of the best abs in WWE history in his peak form. Go look at those King Barrett abs. And on a guy that's 6'7", he's well proportioned in the sense he's not. His legs aren't like skin. He doesn't have like his legs. He has big quads. He always likes to show those off too. Whenever we would be working out, he'd get in the mirror and flex his quads. And but his abs, man, were like he was put together, man. And it works out. He's very strong, and I think he's just that guy's. You see that guy. He's noticed anywhere he goes, he stands out. His voice is just very catchy and very fitting, right? That European, but with a heavy the accent a bit, but a heavier bass in it. Like it's just why aren't you booking that as a main event guy more often than not? So that's a role that he is a natural for, and hopefully at some point in time gets to fulfill even further. No, the contest with Mark Henry, the 225 bench press, those weights were not, they were real weights in the sense that they were not like super light. They were, I forget what the exact poundages were, but like the 45s were like 20 or 25 or something like that. So they were real metal. They still heavy in the sense of that, like they were 20, 25 pound or whatever it was, somewhere in that vicinity on that. And the bar it ended up, I wanted to say, and I can't remember specifically, but the number was, it was closer to 100 and something pounds than it was to 225 pounds on that. And because you got to remember too, he's pushing it on me, and Mark too was really beat up at that point, and like physically, his shoulders like couldn't put on his singlet and things, which I used to help him with that whenever we were he'd ask and put his singlet on because he couldn't get his shoulders. I think destroyed from wrestling and all the weight training with that, which is why all this stuff with him is so disappointing on so many different levels. It's just like I know he got paid, but it's like you whatever. That's the route you're going to take. You're done. But the you couldn't do to do 225, and that would have been not a smart move with everything going on. I wouldn't have wanted to attempt to try to do that, even though, and when I was younger, I actually legitimately was able to do that when I was younger, and in and that was not under a competition. WWE Tough Enough, I had to do that, and I got 30 something, if I'm not mistaken, on the beach on that. I think it was me, and I think Ezekiel Jackson actually beat me that day on that. But and there were other things that we had to do prior to that, and that's where I had to get the breathing machine. That Tough Enough course, it got me the first day, but and I had to recover before I went and did the bench press, and I was able to come back and still do that, even though it wasn't as much as I do in the gym on my own at the time. But I was very good at that lift, and for high reps, I've always been. That's as strong as I am. I've always been really good at heavy lifts for high reps, also on that for like some of those things, and it was something that was a lot of fun. But yeah, we wanted that was not it was not 225, which is even funnier that I think that made it like on a record thing. Like they actually put that in a world record thing on something, and I go, how are you putting a WWE programming contest in a like? I'm like, who's running this stuff? We're all in trouble. We are all in trouble. Hello, hello, hello. Grim Reaper, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, the chats are always very entertaining. All right, I'm looking at the questions here. There will not be an only. I'm not even saying that word on here because I don't even know what qualifies as getting limited ads ran on my shows. I agree. Ryback versus Brock would be a very fun matchup. I would honestly, it would that's something that really has always enticed me and would bring out the absolute best. It is like anybody I love, like Bobby would be the same way, Braun would be the same way. right? You just get a little extra oomph and everything, and you want to be your all-time best going into it in all way, physically, size-wise, endurance, skill, everything, and being able to have that platform and that time and the story, and it would, you know. I was with WWE since I was 22 years old, essentially. Thank you for saying Ryback is the true wise man. Just a guy that reads and listens to a lot of books and has quite a bit of life experience in different things. And I certainly don't know everything. Somebody says Brock hates you, though. What do you mean Brock hates me? Brock and me always got along whenever I was in WWE. He'd use my armbands because I had really difficult armbands. He would always find me and find out where they were. We always had nice conversations. If we talked, we didn't talk a ton for a long periods of time, but our interactions were pleasant and nice. So who are you to come on here and to tell me Brock doesn't like me? Classic fan right there. Hey, I read an article, though, that Brock Lesnar punched you in the eye and beat you up in 2012. Yeah, that didn't happen. That's what happens when you read dirt sheet lies in news. But no, nobody wants to believe the people doing it. let's go listen to the I like wrestling. Let's go listen to them and hear what they want to say because they're making money off of it. God. Yeah, but so and so said. Shoulder keeps getting better and better, my man. We're getting closer and closer. I'm just waiting for that Ryback trademark documentation, and we'll see what happens. I had a good time out with my friends Dolph Ziggler and Justin Roberts last weekend, and I'm looking forward to everything. Of course, I consider Jericho as a top tier GOAT. I've talked about it on the show numerous times, and every career and story is a little different. He is he's done great things and continues to do great things, and he's had longevity because he was really hurt. I remember him telling me when he came back to WWE when I was there, and then we worked together. We were talking about he'd hurt his back and he had to stop for a while. He was out for quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken. And then the DDP Y yoga, he started doing that, and he resolved a lot of his issues with it. And he didn't think he was going to be able to come back. From what I remember, if I'm remembering that correctly, it was bad. I just remember him talking. It was bad, and so to come back from that and to go on he already had a Hall of Fame career prior to that, and then to be back and do everything he's done since, it's amazing. I appreciate all the love and support, everyone in here. Yeah, I like Impact Wrestling. Somebody says, would you do TNA with Impact Wrestling? I know a lot of people over there, multiple people that are working for there. I'm not against anything. It will be, and I've talked to you guys about this, and we'll see what the things. I know some things that I want to do creatively, and I've talked about, and I own everything now, and I'll be able to. I can license out my name. I have my own merch company, so this is very beneficial for me doing independence as well. Doing all of this, I don't need to just go get married to one company if I don't have to, and that I could actually do good business and bounce around. I think, and I really am looking forward to seeing what I could do that's different, and using my own social media platform and getting this stuff free, and using footage from independence to possibly, or TV stuff, and using that with my social media, my channels and different things. And obviously I think TV is overall, with what I got going on, could be highly beneficial, but it's not needed. It's not needed. But what is needed, I do need to get my social media free with that. So, but there's a lot of different interesting matchups and storylines and things that interest me, and I've got the right people know me in the other places and know that any of the lies that people or the hate and they know it's not true. We all like the Dolphin us like just we like talking about how we all have our own things that fans think are true and like Dolphin like to this day like just the dangerous stuff we like it's just like it's not it's ridiculous. It is what it is. But that was he goes it was one person that literally altered the way people and he knew what he was doing. It is what it is. But you just keep doing what you're doing, and the truth always wins. And so, you know, backstage going off. Keep that TV screen on. Hello, hello, hello. What do I think my best rivalry was in my career? I don't know. You know, I think the I think overall the John Cena is number one because one, it was you're talking it was months of main events on live events in main events on TV, doing dark main events after the show, table matches, um, wrestling on European tours and the most money that period working with him on that and featured the most, even though it wasn't. I like all the baby face stuff, and that was a very tough period to have to do that and have them take everything away. And little did I just it was the babyface stuff. There were some big matchups and buildups that were I look at maybe a little better, but that was probably the number one best overall and the quality. John, despite anything, always gave it his all out there, and I believe in over things. And he changed as time went on and was much. I'll use the word not that he was never mean or anything, but he was just he like I talked about this before. You know, when you first worked John, like when I worked John at Nexus, it wasn't you're not really we were just coming up, so we weren't offering a lot of ideas because John didn't operate that way. John liked to okay, he would go to guys, give me three moves that you do really well. And if we're doing like tag matches and things like we were in Nexus, it was or if he would do this if he was working you singles, he would get he's like, what things or what four or five things do you do really well? And a guy would tell him, and John was able to go out there and to put his style match that he did in his format that worked really well for him, and he had a very good understanding of. He was able to do that and call a match to a guy, and sometimes it could be quite basic, but it was still it would get the best reaction of the night because he had built that and he knew how to do that. It kept him safer so he could stay, and that's why he stayed in that position for so long. And that's credit to him. And he understood that if he would have went out there and tried to like do certain things that he didn't need to do, that would not have been the length that it was. And he was very smart in that aspect. But also he gets better reactions because he knows how to listen to the crowd. He knows he's very good at that. And so that would be like the beginning matches with him were different, and he would do that with everybody. Like for the most part, for things on like if you're brand new or he didn't know who you were, hadn't seen you, right? Whereas opposed to when after we did our whole program together, and then we would come up with spots and we talk more and more the more we work together, and like, hey, let's maybe alter this a little bit. Like then now you're giving more input. And then compared to after I've been heel for a while. And as a heel, you're more in control of the ring, and that's one of the reasons it's very good to be a heel in WWE and anywhere is to you kind of are outside of you're dictating the pace of the match a little more in between the shine and the comeback and the false finishes depending on how long you're going, and you have your heat is where you really get to be in more control. You get to talk a little more. You know what I mean. It's more fun. So I've been doing that for quite a while, and I was very confident and feeling really good. And when I had to work him on a main event on SmackDown, I think I had that white and black singlet on, if my memory serves me correctly. It might have been the weight with the weight on it. It might have been faded too at that point. The where we had to do a SmackDown main event. It was Ryback versus Cena, and it was kind of out of left field. It was something, but it was the main event for SmackDown, and we had a good amount of time. And which is so he came up to me in catering and he's a big guy. What do you want to do tonight? where it's, and I was obviously putting him over for that, but very competitive matchup, back and forth. And but you see how the that he's not coming to Skip Sheffield and Nexus and saying, "Hey, big guy, what are we doing out there tonight?" Right? And so that's where you respect the people you work with, and that's what a lot of people are clueless on. Whenever I see things, I go, "You just don't know. You're just regurgitating what you think, and you have no idea of the years of experience and the way things really work within the walls." And if I was truly, do you think, and this is why Kane's well respected and liked by everyone, had a long, lengthy career, right? Very rarely missed any time, if ever. With that, do you think Kane would let me gorilla press him over his head on TV if he thought that I was dangerous in any way, shape, or form? That right? I just want you to think. Do you think all these larger than life giants would let me pick them up over and over and over again if I was remotely dangerous? No, they wouldn't do it. But people don't accept what really happened. They believe a lie because which I've talked about, red in the face, with a guy that had a personal mission to try to sabotage everything because he couldn't physically do anything. He can't, never will be able to me. But rather than looking at the facts, it's like, no, no. So what's going on? But I think it's a compliment at the end of the day because I look so damn dangerous. And people are just the marks get upset. I'm so good looking and so great with the women with that, and just beefy, masculine, deep, heavy voice. That don't mention how good looking I am. That really upsets people. Really, really upsets people. uh, what's going on? Good to see all of you. I have heard about the earthquake in Turkey, and very unfortunate. It's the world's a crazy place, man. And there's always something. The news, I try not to watch. Like, I stay away from this stuff as much as possible. And you want to have an understanding of what's going on a little bit. But I just take it. I go, if it's out of my control, I try to live each day as stress free and focused as possible, and just try to treat my interactions with people good and do things in my business and things that affect me and my family. And like I always said, if we all just sweep our own porch to the best of our ability, the world would be a far better place. But obviously, that's not the way the world works for most people. Recent, somebody says, recent on Japan deathmatch work superstar you want to fight. I don't know what your question is. That really, I'm going to need that cleaned up a little bit. If anybody can interpret that into what the question is, I would be more than happy to give you some sort of answer. Yeah, somebody says, I remember that Subway segment with Jared Fogle, and you grab that Subway sandwich. Yeah, that was when Ryback, and that was Vince. They had an idea to do, because Jared from Subway, this is off clearly before everybody knew about, unfortunately, the things that happened that sent him, I believe, to prison. I'm going to look him up after, see what the status is on Jared Fogle. And Jared, we're in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I believe that's where the Subway headquarters, if I'm not, I could be wrong on that, but either way, we were in Bridgeport because I knew we were close to WWE, and there were more WWE personnel there from the office that day. Some I'm friends with, they got along with, and I was told that I was going to be doing the segment with Jared, and Ryback was very serious at that point, but that was a way to kind of infuse a little bit of comedy, right? And that's where you see doing backstage segments. It helps you get familiar with characters and put you in different situations. And I thought that was a very good segment for achieving that for a very serious character, but kind of tying in the feed me more and getting the extra food subs, and it got a really good reaction. And I remember really enjoying doing that, and I enjoyed getting the free subs to eat the meat on the ride to the next town. The a little change of pace from catering or the fast food that you'd have to get. even though Subway's technically fast food, but it was one less stop. But yeah, that was a good time, and it was really unfortunately then learning of that stuff years later. It's unfortunate. You'd have to check on the yoga stuff and see if that's something that you think could be beneficial for you or not. That I'm looking forward. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns face to face on SmackDown. I think it's good timing. I'm very interested to see the dynamic, the promo between Cody and Roman. I'm really, really interested in seeing that. We've seen Cody and Paul, and it's been fantastic. I now look forward. I want to see this get a little more personal. And they're both really smart and really good, and they have the top people in WWE working on the story. And so I expect it to get a lot more personal really quickly here, and we're going to see that probably this Friday. Has to be. The more personal an angle is, the more tuned in everybody is. You don't, especially for pro wrestling. I never want to see in pro wrestling. Oh, I respect you and this and that. And even in fighting, it's great. But like oftentimes you'll hear this from people, and you guys will know what I'm talking about if you watch and listen. Especially a lot of younger people, they're coming in, they're just doing what they're told. They're figuring out their identity and who they are. Like it takes a long time. It can for people to get okay at promos and understanding. But you'll hear like people, and they're not wrong on certain things, but they go, always put over your opponent, always, mention the location or this and that. But like, you've got to, you don't always need to do that. And it depends if you're a baby face or a heel. And you want to be as entertaining as possible. You want it to be as true and fitting to your character as possible. You want to make sure the intensity and the tone is right for whatever that promo is. But you don't want to do too much ball washing. You don't want to, oh, I really look forward to, this Sunday, August 1st at 12 p.m. at the Sunshine Armory at so-and-so. I'm really looking forward to stepping in the ring with Tommy 2 Feet. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really, really interesting, great matchup. I think our styles are really, really going to clash when we lock horns in there. His record is absolutely amazing. Even, just he's been in there with some of the best. I think it's going to be a real treat for me and the fans to go in there and to have this wrestling match. And, I'm hungry. Feed me more. That's not selling any tickets. It might if you're playing that kind of character, but like you'll hear people do promos and where it's like it's just too much. You've got to infuse the personality, and you've got to space this stuff up a little, break it up a little bit from time to time, and that format is okay for certain situations, but not everybody needs to do that every match, every promo. And so that's where you got to understand and see this stuff and know when to infuse and this and that. You want to always, it's good to have an opener. It's good. You got a strong close as always. You want to have a strong close, whether it's your catchphrase or just something. You just always want to have something that people, a good open and an exclamation point at the end, whatever that is. Yeah, we're seeing more and more, NXT people go or WWE people, and I've talked about that last show a little bit. What they're doing, if they're not doing anything with them on the main roster, or they need to kind of they're spinning their wheels and they're paying them their downsides already. They're just kind of keeping them active, and it helps them. You're getting real in ring veterans to work with your young talent. That is, that is. And that's why Hunter's probably doing it more than anything. If guys, it keeps them busy, it keeps them active, it keeps them from just sitting at home, and it allows them to help. And it's not, it could still be for them. They could still be being booked really well, but the talent are getting to work with them or learning far more than you learn working with people that have never done it. And that's where like your careers, like I'm grateful for all the veterans and the people I've got to be in the ring with, because you pick up a little bit of that and you keep it forever. And then you're able to pass little things down just by how you work on things. I can't tell you how many times, and like I remember hearing Christian, one time there was a match, and I just remember him giving a different having a different viewpoint on a thing for a spot, and it completely forever just I remember just thinking like it was like I just viewed things a little differently because he had a whole different perspective, and everybody kind of brings their own flavor to the table on that, and that's one of the cool, truly cool things about pro wrestling with that. And I love people too. Like I've talked about, watch my match with AR Fox on YouTube with that, and that was me physically at my worst. By the way, with you guys, I was so bad physically. This is one of my last probably matches of going at a decent because I really wanted to work with him, and that like I was looking forward to that a lot. And I trained really hard to make sure that conditioning, even though I was physically at my all-time worst, back and shoulder just completely done. But go watch that. And he was so good at understanding and he knows how to work the right way and things. And sometimes you can get caught up just doing the spots and this and that. But I like working guys that have no that sometimes have a style that can just doing a lot of moves because I can infuse the psychology in and go just put this in here, there, like, and build things, and it can make a more believable competitive matchup. And I remember he was both were really happy with that, and the crowd was absolutely awesome for it. And he got to do his cool stuff still, but at the right time in the right place. And maybe he didn't do all 1,000 things that he could do, but we picked 10, 12, or 15 that we could put in at the right times and where I was much larger than him still and still look like Ryback, but still, and just watch with that. And that's what I like, guys that can work that style because I know how to infuse the right thing at the right time. And I like hearing their thoughts and things on things because I could still learn and I'm learning, okay, but maybe here I do view that a little different. Let's do that there on this. And it's good. And that's how but it's good to have that experience with people. And those guys are able to then help those talents coming from the independents who don't have experience. And it keeps everyone busy. It's a positive all the way around. Ideally, though, you want to be on the main roster. You want to be working. You want to be figured into pay-per-views. But there are only so many spots for everybody. So the next best thing is if you're not on TV on Raw or SmackDown, it's at least your favorite. You don't want to be sitting at home getting a paycheck for too long if you're not injured with the way that you're not guaranteed money, right? So you're more probably thankful. Okay, yeah, I'll go down there once or twice a week and work and do the shows and maybe do the live events, and I'm making my same money I'd make for WWE, but I'm able to, yeah, you're wrestling in front of less people, but you're getting paid the same amount of money. So it's a win. It's a win for everyone with the right mindset too. And you hope to do good enough to get a new idea to where you get back on TV with that. But we've seen that with people they've done that with, and then they are back on TV. So it can be a very positive thing. And two, it's also Hunter with being more in charge in things is you want him to rather send you there than leave you at home. Because he knows that unless you have a ring or you're getting and doing, you know what I mean? You're not figured in. And when budget cuts things, and if they're like, well, he's not working, he hasn't worked for 6 months. Why are we having him on the payroll? We're not going to use him. We don't have him in any storylines, as opposed to budget cuts come up and you're down in NXT. Everyone likes you. You're doing good business. And you know what I mean? The reports, this guy, he's really good for everyone. And we use him well here and there. And they go, well, he's in our system. We justify this in for whatever in our financial reports, and right. It just looks better if you're doing that than when those come up and you're just sitting at home. And it's hello. This is again, somebody goes, I know how you feel about WWE, but I wish you would come back. I want to hear your music hit again, just like the open challenge from Bo Dallas. That was a great time. I greatly appreciate that. But again, I stress this is one of the, you got to understand the situation at hand and everything that has happened. And again, the ultimate factor being I needed a 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement, and I kept myself together. I never fell apart. I'm not like the other stories of the drug addicts, and I this is no judgment. Like I learned from watching people before me make the mistakes, and I knew to have my business and to do things that keep me busy. That and being blessed to have stem cell technology with BioAccelerator to be given a second chance. If that didn't exist, if stem cells didn't exist, I was done. I would have just been doing this in a wheelchair probably, and would not have looked the same way because I wouldn't have been allowed to work out. Very limited in my day-to-day life. I'd be active still. I'd probably be a lot smaller because I couldn't lift weights, and I'd find ways to be happy, and because I always have with that. But I've been given a second chance, truly, and we live in amazing, absolutely just beyond grateful for the times that we live in. But and I'm grateful that fans and people say this to me all the time, and because and I understand, and it means a lot. And you got to. I always ask to try to put yourself in my shoes. I go, how do you think I feel though? Like when I hear that everywhere I go nonstop. It's like it can be a little annoying too. And I'm just being honest because it's like you don't think I'm not trying. I know what I'm doing. And I tell you, hours every day, and the literally 6 figures spent on getting my health back, like and seeing with everything and adding up all the different things, and like trust me, I'm doing everything in my power. This has never been done before. I know it's crazy. You probably don't believe me, but I challenge you to go find. Maybe I'm wrong. From everything I was told and from what I've seen, there's never been an athlete, let alone a high profile athlete or anybody in sports and entertainment, that has needed a 5-disc fusion or needed a 5-disc fusion and a right shoulder replacement or a shoulder replacement and actually came back in at a high level and had, you know what I mean, a full comeback. It's never been done. So that's just a fact of the situation. And I'm very optimistic and positive. And I think you guys have all seen how far it is really close, really close. And I've got all that's on top of all the legal stuff. And I won all that. People telling me all day long, I'm not going to win any of that. I won it all. So it's like, but I just, a lot of I've been shadow banned and not everyone can hear my message with it. And I understand that too, but it's not hard to also find out the truth and with that. And I know most people aren't doing it to be mean or to be, but it could be a little frustrating because like, just come back already. Like, so, cause I want to hear your music. That's very selfish. And that's just we're all selfish in different ways, but look at it like, hey, maybe let me do the right thing. And I am coming back. I promise you I'm coming back, but let me make sure that everything's okay. Oh, this is kind of a big deal and a lot of different, I want to be able to make sure I can take care of my family and that I'm doing the right thing and making the right decision. And we're very close, but like, I'll be understanding when you say things and like, I wonder how that's going to make them feel. If anything ever thought pops in your head and you say something, just take a step back and whoever you're directing at, just think. And anything, no matter what it is, how could this make them feel? Me saying this, I don't think it's a bad habit to have, but I do appreciate you caring and I understand. I want to hear my music too, and it's a great, cool thing. It's an adrenaline rush like no other. But there's a lot that had to happen, and we're almost there. And with that, Sarcasm Club says, please retire. Okay. I officially, oops, he was shell shocked and blocked. Maybe tomorrow, Junior, under your other account. Thank you very much, Kenny. I greatly appreciate the kind words. And yeah, the chips video, by the way, is my most successful video on YouTube, and it continues. We just got another, I think we're now at 3.4 million. It seems to every year the video gets really popular again and it starts circulating a little bit. Even though that video, I honestly think that should, and that video, that just is a reflection of the channel, has nowhere near the amount of views that it should on that. And I bet you if the social media wasn't the way that it is, that's a 50, 60, 70, 80 million viewed video with the way. I just know when the things, and that's why some people can get confused too on things. It looks like it's still hot. That and it's overwhelmingly like positive comments. Like people love that ASMR chip video. People that have kids, they message me and they go, "Our kids know you and love that chip video. They watch it all the time. Like people go to bed with it. Like it is a very real thing. As funny as it's a meme and all know like when it is that video's made a decent little bit of money on this channel. It's like it's a wild thing. And I'm telling you, it's gonna get me a Ruffles deal. It's gonna end up, it's gonna just fall in my lap at some point. That's why I'm like, oh, I hope this gets fixed and that just runs and Ruffles finally like, why aren't we just showing this on TV with Feed Me More? It's instant money. It works. That's why that was so important having the trademarks on everything. And you throw the Feed Me More tag with Ruffles and that shit video, you show a 15-second commercial on TV with just me staring, eating the chips, and you just hear me say, "Feed me more." And they've got the Ruffles logo and Feed Me More slapped up there. You know how many people stoned are going to look at that and then recognize them too, but then just go buy a bag of Ruffles because people do it off the YouTube video and they say they go do it. That should have been a Super Bowl ad. I hope next year that's a Super Bowl ad. It's just me, the chip video being played, and it just Feed Me More slapped on the screen, read in my voice with the Ruffles. We're off to the races. And then me giving motivational seminars, talking to kids, how me eating chips, and people made fun of me with it and saying, "Oh, Ryback, you went from WWE superstar to eating chips," on that, and me just giving speeches to people. Live your dreams. Live your dreams. One Ruffle at a time. You know, the Usos are great guys. Usos are very nice. I'll tell you what, people don't like being disrespected. A lot of marks are very disrespectful towards wrestlers, and we've all had interactions with them at different times. You got to get away from them. With that, great fans are awesome, nice fans are awesome, but wrestlers are humans, and we don't like dealing with bad people with it. And so you're. By the way, humans also fluctuate. I don't know if this is one thing. There's not sometimes there's not like just a hot or a cold. People are different temperatures at all different times, but you try to be consistent more often, try to be in a good mood more often than not. But like we all deal, there's times you got to like put your foot down and do things. And like just because also you could have fans and you could be in a really bad mood one day in like and just give an example. Maybe they were in a really bad mood, something happened, and somebody came up and asked for a photo, and they just go, "Not right now," and they're just upset, something's going on. They're not thinking anything of it, and they just got asked 20 other times. Maybe they took 20 other photos, and it's something they need to focus on. But that doesn't mean that they're bad human beings. And because that one person said, "Oh, they were a-holes towards me," or this or that. You got to have common sense of view things. People go, yeah, maybe a lot of celebrities and actors, I bet you they're nice at times. I bet you maybe they are mean at times. That doesn't mean they're one way all the time. And we don't know. And like there's people, oftentimes, if they're going to go on social media and make a video, oftentimes I'm not trusting that person off of the information that I know more often than not. But it's up to you guys. You guys got to educate yourselves. You've got to have the self-awareness and the common sense to look at things and go, hey, man, maybe people will just adjust their attitude and different things based off the attitude they get or things. Very possible. I love the Usos. They are great. They're great to wrestle with. They're fun to be around. I've smoked with them multiple times, different periods. Great guys. Great guys. Hardworking dudes. So that's coming from me that works with them. But hey, if you want to go read a dirt sheet or an article that wants to, bash somebody and write, I saw our good friends, the Sportster, who I believe is like I've mentioned, they have a deal with WWE, a partnership with them of sorts. They were the ones that had to get taken down all the articles early on. They were coming out with all the lies, publishing the things on Facebook on me, one after the other, like literally just completely made up. We paid to get like 15 of them down, and then they kept coming out with more. Then they cooled off for a while. They're back at it because they know I'm probably coming back. So like, let's start writing more negative things. They have me on a list of the 10 most hideous muscular bodies in WWE history. They've got like Vince on there, Hogan. Everybody else they have on there though, I can see. I am truly, genuinely the only one that doesn't belong on that based off of the criteria on whatever they're picking that off of, which I think it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. But it just makes me laugh. But they write like the negative article, then they put things. The article was never about that. They just write like, how horrible I am, like the negative, and I just go, it's a hit piece every time whenever they do that with that. But like, are you going to go believe people like that? Or believe people that do it that have a true understanding? It's like, so maybe be careful of what you consume and who you allow to put thoughts in your heads and whatnot. Very good. If you saw me in India in 2015 in a 5-star hotel, we were there for WWE. 5-star hotel. That's what they put us in India. Beautiful hotel and amazing food. We were not allowed to leave the that though. I like Chad Gable. I thought he had a great match and looked good with Cody. And yeah, and I think he's somebody that can definitely be doing more. Very entertaining. And he's been figured in, I I do like Otis on his own. I like Otis is the Otis, the babyface Otis. Um, if I were them, I'd put him back in that role. It's kid friendly. It's funny. He just is a baby face. I don't like Otis as a heel. I never did. I think it's been good for him in the sense of probably different ways, but I think Otis is you don't have to have him in the main event. I like Otis. I think Otis is a great guy. And I think Otis could be your Santino Marella as a babyface and in entertaining matchups, but and let him do his entertaining stuff, kid friendly stuff. Kids will love him. Otis could be a lot of kids' favorite wrestlers, and a lot of adults will like him because of how funny doing the little belly dance, doing the worm deal into the elbow. But use him in his own entity as a Santino Marella, which is so important to have a guy like that on the show. He could end up having the longest career out of anybody and being relevant for 10, 15 years if he stays healthy. That's what if I were him, that's what I would. Hell yeah. My thing is that's my thing too. If you're not going to be in the main event thing, I would rather have that comedy deal and to be that gig. That's a spot you want to be in because you're figured in every show. You're always figured in, and they can flash you into big matches. You're always over. It is a nice spot to have. San says Ryback, if money and creative were right, would you ever go do shows in Mexico or Japan? Yeah, I think doing shows anywhere, it's just a matter of if I'm able to travel on the weekends and once I'm back doing stuff. Yeah, with that. I've never been to Mexico, but I know I've been asked multiple times, and I know Conan has had hookups and things down there, but I wasn't wrestling with that. So I think once I am, and if the situation presents itself, and even if I'm doing something on TV and like I said, I kind of owning my own brand and business now and having everything, have some options. So I can, it's just a matter of if it's the travel is able to be done and everything else lines up and good business can be done. But absolutely. The cool thing too, like I can go if I'm back wrestling, with Kali in India, I can make more money going and doing a main event in India or Mexico and for a promotion and I own the rights to everything and saying and like I don't have to this is nothing for me. Say, look, let's do 1,000 feed me more shirts and we'll split the profits. We'll split the profits 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever where I go. So you're going to make all this money on me on tickets and whatever we're doing on top of all this merch money, which you don't think if I'm in a build matchup in a big place and they've got the merch going and you know what I mean? It's a layup. This is what a lot of people don't look at and see. You go do that in India. I mean, you're talking clean, like quality business. And I'm back and we're back in Ryback, right? In wrestling with that, not just doing an appearance, but actually physically wrestling with that. That's where this is so important and it's been so important to get my health. Absolutely, I would go and do that if it's the right deal, the right thing, and good business can be done all the way around. Like people have no idea. I am very business oriented. I want everyone making money. I know how to do good business with this on things, especially if I'm wrestling with it. So that's where the places I've had and that I've done, I've out of all my appearances and everything, specifically wrestling, outside of the one Australian, there was a thing for that promotion. I made a ton of money. That guy lost money on app. Like this talked about it years ago. The greatest, worst booking, and it'll be in my book in great detail. And I think we talked about it on one of the Ryback shows or old episodes on here in the archives. But I've done good business. And now owning all this, and two, I don't have to make the shirts. I could do that and license a deal. And, or if I want to just do it on my own, I have my own merch company. I go, hey, we're going to go do this show down in Mexico. And let's send 500 shirts and down and have it set to a secure location. And I'm going to just keep all the profits. And we go down there and figure like I could do that with I own and have all the hookups for all that now to do that kind of business. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, man. It really is. And everyone's going to see really quickly that anything that any of the lies or hate, the stuff that was like, it's not true. And nobody can stop me from working and doing things. Nobody can stop me from going and training and being ready. Nobody can stop me from getting in the best shape ever. And it's going to be, there's a market. And I've stayed one of the most followed social media figures still with everything going on overall with that. There's a market and we'll be able to do good business. But hey, everyone's entitled to their opinion. They can say all day long how it won't be. I'll just go. I have the past experience of knowing it is, and it was, and it will be once again. Hello. No plans to be in LA for WrestleCon. Yeah, R-Truth is aged absolutely amazingly. He's I don't know what his secret is. They say black don't crack. I say Ryback don't crack either. But I'm I've looked, I feel like the same forever. But I'm sure I could probably tell slight little difference maybe in some of the photos. But I've got my skincare routine every morning. Wake up. I've got a combination of vitamin E, radish oil, and this Miami skincare product that is skin cell thing is pretty expensive. And I do a combination and just get it all around the face you know, and then I shower it off hours later and go about my day. But every morning, that's my skincare routine. How I've stayed looking 50 ever since 30. I tried that TikTok app though, where it said like the 13-year-old you, the teenage version. I know what I look like as a teenager. The filter thing makes me look. It looks nothing like. I go, oh, I look nothing like that at 13. Where some people, I don't know, like it seems like the filter does better. I didn't like it. I was like, oh, I look like a whole other ethnicity. Also, I go, this isn't for everyone. I liked wrestling all three members of the Shield. All three were a lot of fun. I wrestled Seth the most though, and really had me and Seth. It's just because we wrestled the most. All of them were great and fun to work. But Seth, I worked multiple stages of our careers together, and in main event spots in reverse roles of babyface heel multiple times, and always a lot of fun. It's funny now seeing the character Seth plays and how turned up it is. And like I go, man, it's good to see him showing and having like the personality and because he's a very serious guy and the Shield stuff was very serious to those guys and they tried to stay. I think sometimes some guys too are uncomfortable. I think just letting like I never was uncomfortable. Like I don't the role I'm playing on TV. I don't care if it's like I'm just playing a monster and just I'm hungry, feed me more, and destroying people. I'm gonna have fun and be exactly this backstage. I'm not trying to like come up with Ryback doesn't like that. Like no, that's stupid. And you know what I mean? It's so like I remember WWE. There was a thing there like we don't your meet and greets. You're like smiling and laughing and like people, but I'd be serious for the photo. And like people then they think, oh, Ryback doesn't. I remember this was a thing, by the way. Everyone that knows, like in the meet and greet, like if you've ever met me at meet and greets, and I'm just have a good time. I'm not like trying to like convince you that that everything that's going on TV is how things are 24/7, and nor should they be. It's ridiculous. It's like, but I would do for photos. A lot of people like me looking serious because that's how people like for the photos. And sometimes I'll do two, one smiling, one serious face, right? That. But I remember there was a thing. Somebody, the people were trying to say that I'm just so unprofessional, like online, that Ryback doesn't even enjoy meeting kids, like even though doing make a wishes and things, because the kids that I'm having a conversation with, hey, do you want me to do mean face or smiley face? Mean face, Ryback. So we'll do a mean face. Like you don't know that's what takes place with it, but like people, they were saying like, oh, Ryback doesn't even enjoy meet and greets. He's so miserable to fans, and we laugh. We're like, what? How are you forming that conclusion off of a picture? And I talked about it all the time with that. It's wild with it. It was like, have you ever maybe thought that that's where common sense comes in? And what do I know? I was only the one doing it. Yeah, what do I think would have happened if I continued to play the Skip Sheffield character and not like the injury, the Nexus stuff, and I just stayed as that. I was very happy doing that. I would have been more than content and fine, and I would have made it work. My goal would have been to get so over, and we got it really over down at Florida Championship Wrestling, which is how it got me to TV. It was it got popular really quickly. Dusty Rhodes booked me very well, gave me a lot of TV time. Dusty was always one of my biggest supporters and played a really key part into my development and career, and even the short time that I was with him and around him down there, and which ended up, I feel, pushing me to who I am now, ultimately, in my evolution of finding who I was as a pro wrestler and human being, and trying to tap into different aspects of my personality and creativity. Right. With that, I would have played any role they got me, but I think I would have gotten that comedy role post Santino. I think that would have been that, but it would have been booked. I don't know if you could have made that. I think if looking the way that I looked, I think that you could book that as a main event character still over time if people became if people fell in love with that character, and I was able to, that would have been on me to continue to wrestle with the gimmick but just be serious when I needed to be serious. And I feel that the way that I look, not a lot of people look like me, I believe I could have pulled it off and made it work at a main event level. Now, is it your ideal on paper, Skip Sheffield, WWE champion? No, not if you have no history. But if that's a character that builds for 2, 3, 4 years and has earned people's respect and constantly gets laughs and is believable in the ring, then you're looking at the character entirely different. Like, of course, that's a no-brainer. You could easily go with this. And there would have been character evolutions with that, right? And development and layers added to that as time went on too. So, but I'm happy to be me, and I feel this is truer to me. And I look forward to infusing more of my personality and character in a wrestling setting as Ryback, which we've done at different points. The Rybaxel stuff was some of the best stuff, I thought. That was all on .com and YouTube stuff. But yeah, I'll be the only show on YouTube with 1 million subscribers and still just like 90 something people or 100 people on the live, because YouTube still won't fix the channel. Hopefully that is not the case. We are going up. We're gaining subscribers at a pretty nice rate again. I've been putting in the work on the shorts, and even though they are not, they've got to fix things on their end. But we're gonna keep. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue on. Oh, born hungry, die hungry. That's the only way to be. Born hungry, live hungry, die hungry. There it is. New shirt, print it. But with that, guys, we're gonna wrap up today's show. What are we at today? Hour 43, coming up hour 45. And we'll be back tomorrow on Friday and on the weekend on Saturday or Sunday. We'll do one of the weekend shows. And as always, a new feeding time every Monday, 9 a.m. We've got the new Taco Bell crunchy melt tacos. Please check that out. We've got the Cardi B and Offset meal on there as well, if you enjoy those feeding time videos. And I'm going to be keeping those a little shorter. We're going to be trying to just find ways to get YouTube to promote my stuff again, hopefully, and to keep this thing growing and being seen like I know we can. So please check out my Feed Me More Nutrition. feedmemore.com. All the discounts for you guys are in the description and the comments here after the show. Those will be connected. And until we feed again, my friends, stay hungry. Feed me more.
Hey, Rybackers, don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and shell shock those notifications. And for the best supplements on the planet with Feed Me More Nutrition and all the latest cool new Ryback merch, visit feedmemore.com.